Hello and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are with the CRMKonvos, this time the 18th edition, and a switch intro für our German audience. Einen wunderschönen guten Abend. Hier sind wir wieder, Dienstagabend, 19:30 Uhr diesmal mit Gästen international. Und dieser CRM-Konvos wird entsprechend in englischer Sprache sein. Wir haben Gäste von SugarCRM und ich übergebe jetzt kurz für die Vorstellungsrunde die weitere an meinen Kollegen Thomas Wiebernheit.
Well, and I'll switch back to English, probably.
This is the idea.
Hello, Craig and Rich.
Hello.
So, thanks for joining us. So, and it's probably, since the people have seen me once or twice, a good time for you to introduce yourselves, tell a little bit about, well, who you are and what you are doing, what Sugar is doing, what Sugar is famous for. English, probably. Then let's go on.
Yeah, thank you, guys. Thanks for having us on. Unfortunately, I didn't understand too much of the German, but I picked up little bits and pieces. So my name's Craig Charlton. I'm the CEO of Sugar. I've been the CEO since February of last year. My background is I've spent my entire professional career, subsequent to qualifying as an accountant, I've spent my entire career in the enterprise software world. So I spent a lot of time around CRM systems and you know, dating back to the very early contact management systems, you know, right through you know, some of the bigger enterprise CRM systems, and then was CEO of a company called Abila, which is actually CRM for the association management space. So have, you know, always been in and around CRM, and it's an area of the industry which I've really enjoyed. My last 3 roles, I was actually a user of the gorilla in the space, so not Sugar, our competitor. I called myself a 3-time victim of the gorilla, but you know, it was actually interesting. I've always had a view that CRM systems over the course of the last 30 years all suffer from many of the same flaws, and it was really interesting. I used to come home to my wife whinging and complaining about the CRM system I was using. And when I got the opportunity to interview at Sugar, I spent some time with Rich, who you're just about to hear from, and was incredibly excited about all of the innovation that Rich and the team were working on. They really were looking into the crystal ball and you know, in my view, really resolving a lot of the sins of CRM that have persisted for the last 30 years. So I'm super excited to be here, super excited to be in the role of CEO of Sugar. It's been a fun nearly 2 years, and we've got some really exciting things happening now, and even more exciting things planned for the future. So, Rich, why don't you introduce yourself?
Sure. Thanks, Greg. Rich Green. I'm a Chief Technology Officer and Chief Product Officer here at Sugar. I describe my background as starting off as a nerd and transitioning to a geek over time. Undergraduate and graduate degree in computer graphics, things like that. Started off as a developer in CAD/CAM, moved to the West Coast. I joined Sun Microsystems and you know, worked my way around as head of operating systems, VP there, head of Java, as the head of, and you know, helped invent mobile Java and J2EE. But went out to a startup, came back, ran the software business for Sun, then left and joined Nuance, where we developed the tech through acquisition as well as development that was licensed out and ultimately became the first versions of Siri. Moved on to, over time, moved on to Nokia, where I was the CTO over there, commuting every 10 days back and forth to Helsinki, which was a great and did a startup, and then went into consulting. And one of my early consulting opportunities was Sugar. And after a short bit of consulting, I was rarely convinced to join the company, and I've been here ever since. You know, I've had an enormous interest and focus on platform technology, but most recently, or for quite some time actually, not only large data analytics, but AI as the way to really free people from the tedium that business in general and computers in business forced on people. And so, the history of computer science is you solve a problem that was an outstanding one, and you create a new one, right? And you solve that one, you create a new one again. And the history of computers in business is introduced all this tech, which created new problems about data entry, data accuracy, forecasting, understanding history, really putting a greater burden on the end user. It's like taxation without representation. It was a burden on the users without the value. And the goal I've had here, and I think we collectively have, is to radically change that or fix that so that the value you receive is far outstrips any work you may have to do. And that's the quest we're on.
So I was just thinking of welcoming you in proper Finnish. Tervetuloa.
Well, they were kind to me and always spoke English, so I trust that you said a good thing, but I'll let that go.
That was a friendly good evening because my parents have lived for 3 years in Helsinki on Kulusari. My father was with Lufthansa German Airlines and had not the challenge to commute so often. This was left for the kids, such as we were staying in Cologne and my parents were in Helsinki. So we had at a very early time some extra independence.
Well, the commute was long from California, but enjoyable. Yeah. People in Finland and at Nokia were just really wonderful people. Winter's a little dark, but other than that, I had a great time.
They're very committed, and Finns, to share just with the audience that if they, for instance, do not speak a language even better than their mother tongue, they try very, very hard. The old ones, not the young ones, but the old ones, they prefer then to get drunk before they speak a foreign tongue, instead of making mistakes. They are 200% perfect. I never met such committed people in these cases, and so they did and do their jobs very committed. Yeah. Okay, a bit sugar history will be the next one we're curious about. So you came at a very fascinating turn point where sugar had reached a certain market share, has a well-known reputation over Europe, the States, and some other areas as well. And me as a software selection consultant on one end had a lot of contacts with your ecosystem here in Germany and in Switzerland and in Austria. So what is especially your activity on? We have some back noise and an echo. Oopsie. Ich bin unschuldig. I'm innocent.
It seems to have died down. It wasn't here. It was a bit like a heartbeat.
So somehow the gods of the internet are today not favoring us. Let's go on.
No, they didn't like my question.
Yeah. You didn't even ask it.
So your question was about the background of sugar, though, wasn't it, Rob? Did you want me to give you a little bit of the...
I think it's valuable for the audience because some of them which came a long way and know the market, know that there have been some differentiations, that you have gone into some very unique way of, for instance, creating your view on a customer's perspective and the pipeline, such as that you had an adoption which made a sales funnel look completely different, a lot more sexy, and that this was due to the advice from Phil Winters and the customer impact strategy, and that this was a quite fascinating turning point when your organization, especially here in German-speaking Europe, was very actively approaching financial industry, and they're successful on that.
Yeah, look, I wasn't around during the Phil Winters days, but I did get a briefing from Clint, who is our co-founder, and I think Rich knows a little bit more. But yeah, look, Sugar's been around now for 15 years. We originally started as that, counterculture, cool, open source vendor. We jettisoned the open source positioning about 4 or 5 years ago, but we actually got acquired. So we got new ownership about 2 years ago. And that's been really instrumental. It's given us a lot of capital that we can go and deploy for the benefit of our customers. So I think we're on acquisition number 5 or 6, and we've got a number more in the pipe. We've got, in terms of base credentials, we have about 5,000 customers, about 2 million users across somewhere around 120 countries around the world. We have a huge presence in EMEA. It's one of our strongest regions, and has historically always been a really strong region. We are a horizontal CX vendor. We've got presence in probably every industry, but the industries we typically are very, very strongly represented are business and financial services, as you mentioned, IT and more specifically SaaS software companies, and we do incredibly well in manufacturing, which is obviously a real strength of Europe. So majority B2B. We do have a portion, about 10-12% of our customers are in the B2C space. In terms of the companies that we target, we're sort of smack bang in that mid-market is about 40% of our revenue. But we have about 30% of our revenue in the enterprise, so the biggest companies in the world, and about 30% in the SMB end of the market, so the new and emerging type businesses. So it's a very, very broad cross section. We have a full suite of market, sell, and serve, and the market piece particularly came via an acquisition early last year. And you probably heard or are going to hear a lot about our high definition CX vision, and obviously our recent Node acquisition, which really puts us fair and square into the space of AI and predictive analytics. So we're super excited about that, as well as our 4 differentiated pillars that we talk a lot about. Our CX, our time aware CX platform. We talk a lot about our no touch information management, which Rich was just alluding to. A continuous cloud innovation where we're very heavily intertwined with everything that AWS is doing, and our lifetime commitment to customers. Something that we are generally very, very well regarded by our customers, with like NPS scores in the 90s. And I've never been a CEO of a software company before with NPS scores in the 90s. So Sugar's a pretty unique animal in a lot of respects.
That's cool.
I think so. Or I wouldn't have joined.
No doubt about that. Yesterday, you alluded to some news that are about to come out. Is that something you would like to elaborate upon?
Well, I think we announced our latest version yesterday, and I think Rich had some areas that he wanted to highlight. But across the full stack, we're increasing our pace of innovation for the benefit of our customers. And we've got wonderful deliverables that have been wrapped up in the latest release, including a ground-up rewrite of our Nurture Builder in our marketing automation suite, as well as a number of other. Rich, did you want to grab that one?
Sure, happy to. Every quarter we release updates to our full suite of software, although some of our software as a service products are released every 2 weeks or updated every 2 weeks. So no slower than every quarter. Wow. This past week, we released a full suite of updates for all of our products. Actually, they're coming out throughout this month. I think Craig cited some of the big changes in Sugar Market, which is a complete re-envisioning and rebuilding of our Nurture Builder 2.0, as well as the Email Builder 2.0. They work closely together to generate campaigns, and it's really quite a change in terms of usability, in functionality, in traceability, in information analysis. that is necessary for a modern marketing department to really track the quality of the nurture and the details of every individual who responds. On the other end of the spectrum, on our Serve product, we announced Sugar Live, which is a technology that links AWS Connect with our Sugar Live and fully integrates the two. As you know, omni-channel capabilities are critical in all aspects of business, particularly so in customer service, where customers want to choose the medium, the means by which they interact with an organization. Integration with AWS Connect provides chat, soft phone. We already provide email capabilities. There'll be more capabilities in that space rolling out, and they're tightly integrated. So, if you receive a call from an individual or a chat from an individual, it finds that individual in the Sugar database, already automatically brings up the case, brings you up to speed immediately. So they're very tightly linked. And that's an exciting new set of capabilities in Sugar Serve coming out this month, or has delivered this month.
Mm-hmm.
So no hassle about CTI in the old school mode and fashion, but you have done there some sexiness and ease of use. I love to hear that.
Well, we're deep believers that business solutions as a service from the cloud is the way to go. And so providing fully digital capability, soft phone, integrated chat, integrated email off the cloud without having to buy hardware or manage on-site application capabilities is the way the world is going, and in many regards has gone, other than sort of the long tail of deployments that have happened over time. So we are very clear about leaping over any of the more traditional thing, whether it's hardware or software and self-managed, and just provide it as a service, and rounding that out over time, integrated with analytics, AI, sentiment analysis, etc., automated routing, which we do today. That's the way everybody wants to work.
There are a couple of interesting words there. So everybody goes cloud, more or less, or so people say. On the other hand, Sugar is available in an on-premise capacity as well. So where do you see the still an on-premise demand?
Well, if I may, there's significant demand on-premise in many use cases. One is where either data sovereignty or legal internal corporate legal issues require things to be on-prem. One in which there's heavy customization, and the customer wants to get access to the technology and make changes that are beyond what is the change space in our cloud. So we offer choice, and we think that's the way to go. I think we're one of the few who do so. And, I think the trend is in general to the cloud, but we have a long history of having customers and supporting customers and caring for customers on-prem. That is never going to go away, and we will continue to serve them.
What is the trade-off that you offer those customers?
Well, as I noted, I think there's a lot of self-control and self-customization. In our cloud, we can provide additional services because we're such a tight, close partner with Amazon that linking their cloud services. We use Amazon not just as a hosting platform, but as a computing platform, where increasingly Sugar is the CRM component, and we rely on many of the services that can be only accessed efficiently when the app is running in the cloud. So it's customization and it's data sovereignty versus an enhanced set of capabilities that you can only get in the cloud hosted and cloud integrated application.
Wow. Yeah, and many of the newer applications that we're buying typically are cloud first, if not cloud only. We're making those available to our on-premise customers wherever we possibly can. Sometimes there are limitations where it literally has to operate in the cloud, but where we can, and there's a whole raft of different applications internally developed and purchased, which we can make available for our on-premise customers. So they're an important part of what we're doing going forward.
What's your strategy there? So I know of a software vendor that is close to the place I'm sitting at. So one of the other gorillas,
right?
I think you mentioned the US gorilla, so
the gorilla,
the German one. So
yeah.
they have a cloud-first strategy. Yeah? They basically want, to quite an extent, in the CRM arena, they push them there. In the ERP arena, not so, but still there's a cloud-first environment that says, well, some things come faster and some things won't reach the on-premise model at all. Not because they are senseless there or useless there, but because I don't want you there. So what's your strategy there?
Well, so we don't think that holding a gun to the head of our customers is a wise move. They typically rebel against that. So, our model is choice. It's all about choice. Being in the cloud, and particularly, during this period of COVID, we've seen a lot of customers accelerate their move into the cloud because they can do pretty much anything in the cloud that they can do on premise. So as Rich said, traditionally, where someone wanted to heavily customize the application, they would typically be more inclined to do that on premise. But with the capabilities that we have in our cloud now, there's not a lot that you can't do. And obviously living in the cloud, you've got someone else, the best in the business looking after it at the back end, keeping the bad guys out that are constantly trying to compromise your data, looking after the scalability and performance and all of those sorts of things. I mean, we've got AWS doing that for us. We're heavily invested in using all of AWS technology, which means that we can innovate incredibly quickly. We can't innovate on premise at the same pace because we have to build all of that back of house stuff, all of that plumbing. So, what you get from being in the cloud is you get automatic updates. It's basically effectively zero admin. You're getting the latest and greatest. And we know that our customers that are in the cloud have a higher stickiness factor. They're more likely to stay around for the long term than the customers who are on premise. Because if you're on premise, you go 3 years, you might not have done an upgrade, and then you look at what's available in the market. It's like, oh, I want that. That's available through Sugar, but because they're on an island essentially, they haven't availed themselves of all the great new tech that we're bringing to bear. So we would prefer everyone was in the cloud. But as I said, we're certainly not going to hold a gun to the head, and we're bringing everything we can to our on-premise customers, and we'll continue doing that indefinitely.
What's the typical time lag?
What's that, sorry?
What's the typical time lag?
Well, some things, by virtue of the cloud infrastructure that we're using, we will never be able to bring to on-prem. By far the majority we can, and where we can, we try and so we do an annual update of our on-premise software, and we're doing quarterly or more updates in terms of the cloud. So typically once a year, everything that we can package up and make available for our on-premise customers, we do.
Yeah, the lag is a year or less. Most of our customers, we spent a lot of time with customers before we worked out the system of quarterly in the cloud versus annual on-prem, and they don't want to have to do an upgrade do the work themselves to do an upgrade more than once a year. So the cycle speed on-prem is once a year. However, much of what we're putting in the cloud releases every quarter ends up in the annual release. And as Craig noted, not quite everything because of the dependence on some of the services that can't be easily remotely accessed, but most. And so it's all vetted and has been run for quite some time, and then it's delivered on-prem once a year.
Okay. Now, Ralph, sorry.
I make my comments to my audience, so I am very relaxed. The path on keeping on premises as a very strong and valid path of customer happiness and to address the German Angst audience very much is something which is a very smart move, as I see that a lot of customers which are still going with Microsoft as one of the hybrid solution offerings are not happy that they get it not only with a certain delay in time, but some stuff is applicable if you are not in the cloud. So my advice, knowing this market and knowing that a lot of advantages come with some version which is something in between the on-premises and browser usability, such as the managed cloud service, that you can go to your own data center of your choice. If you do not love Amazon, or you do not love, for instance, something which is American driven, but you have a cool product and you have the opportunity that you get your stuff in an environment you can, to a certain degree, control, is very much to the liking of healthcare institutions, financial services institutions, especially banks. Yeah. If you tell a bank, go for the cloud, they come like, Dracula, where are you? Yeah?
So we have seen that evolve, and it's evolving in different regions at a different pace. But, you know, when we talk about on-premise, I think very few of our customers are actually physically implementing Sugar on a box in their office that's sitting under the desk. You know, typically they're with some sort of hybrid cloud. You know, very often our partners host a cloud environment. You know, some of those have the provisos like HIPAA compliance and those sorts of elements. So, you know, we're going to continue bringing everything we can to our on-premise customers in as timely a manner as we can. There are going to be some limitations because, you know, we could be cloud agnostic. And if we were cloud agnostic, our pace of innovation would drop tremendously. What our customers care about is the CX value that we're delivering, the differentiated value, which is helping them delivering them an unfair advantage over their competitors. And if that is all behind the scenes in AWS, and AWS is, you know, probably renowned as you know, number one in the world for that cloud architecture.
Yeah.
Then, you know, we don't have many customers say, oh, we don't want to do it because you're using AWS. That would be an infinitesimal amount, because what they're getting is a ton of value from our partnership with AWS. So it's helping us to spend the time on innovating in the areas that customers think are important. And I think if you compare it to the competitors, outside of the M&A they do, their pace of organic innovation is pretty glacial, because they have to look after all of the back of house stuff. And we think it's a smarter move to leave that in the hands of the experts.
I agree that they have a trade-off. If they want their own environment, their own, let's say, data center, it's their choice, and they do it for leaving several advantages on another side, which they can utilize a bit later when they decide to go for the other one. But for you, it is a clear advantage from my perspective in knowing the very sensitive privacy topics and the privacy shield discussion that some organizations might prefer to have less features, but more privacy and more security. And when this is sorted, they can switch easily to some more sexy features and some more sexy functions. Yeah. And they have a best of breed approach in that saying so. Yeah.
Yeah, and we host in every one of the major geos. So, you know, we've got a hosting site in Frankfurt, UK, Singapore, Australia, Canada, US. I mean, so, you know, we give people that where there are issues over data sovereignty, you know, we're very mindful of that, and that should be their choice. That shouldn't eliminate cloud as an option. And so, you know, we're very careful to make sure that we, you know, we approach that appropriately.
Rich, you wanted to say something.
No, I just think, as you know, the element of choice is part and parcel of Sugar's DNA, right? We started out as an open source company. We care a lot about individual use cases and the needs of each customer. That's why we have such great customer ratings by customers in PC Mag or NPS, et cetera. But there is a software physics issue of what we can offer on-prem, either instantaneously or over time, and what we offer in the cloud. But we provide lots of choice and assistance to people who do so. I think over time, both the visceral concern as well as the rules around data sovereignty will change in ways that leading edge cloud solutions like Sugar will be able to fulfill. And we're way out there already, and we're not going to rush anybody. We're going to do this with a carrot, not a stick, and keep offering our solution on-prem for the life of the company.
So now, before Ralph and I out ourselves as dinosaurs and on-premise advocates.
Well, I've been meaning to talk to you about that.
Well, I could bear this badge, but still. A short while ago, I just would like to change tack a little, because there is so much to cover about Sugar that we shouldn't stick too much to cloud versus non-cloud.
No, I was going to show one of the questions from the audience, which is exactly on e-privacy. And Winfried is asking, for instance, is the Amazon Web Services concerning Privacy Shield and DSGVO a safe solution, a safe choice? So this is a topic, and we are not outing ourselves as having a certain knowledge in the on-premises, like you said in your DNA. You're offering a smart choice. And what is your perspective on AWS on covering Privacy Shield in GSGVO? So we have answered this question.
Sure. Let me take a shot. I think, first of all, those of us who have looked closely at the recent ruling understand that it's still quite fluid. It's not fully formed yet. There are decisions and recommendations that have been made, but there is going to be an evolving, as they've published, an evolving set of updated rules. But regardless, I think we should separate out the AWS platform specifically from Privacy Shield, in that it's a place to run stuff and retain data. What we have done is made sure that we have hosting sites in EMEA, and so the customer's data can remain in the EU area where the ruling applies, remains in country in Germany and surrounding countries. The issue that Privacy Shield bears on is principally about circulating information in and out of the EU, and we accomplish that in most cases by running everything on an AWS hosting center in the center of Europe. And so there are other mitigating issues, but overwhelmingly that is solved by staying local.
Mm-hmm.
So Winfried, just for you and for your dedicated question, you got here a fair and proper answer. So when Thomas was reaching out for that, you did a fabulous activity in purchasing Node AI, and you opened a window of opportunity where you, the two of you, were very enthusiastic towards Thomas and with Paul and Brent in their players. And I would like to have some of that emotion here as well.
So if I can start from the business perspective and explain why
Lovely.
I'm so excited. So, we have a lot of businesses come across our desk, as you can imagine. We're obviously very cashed up. We've got very, very strong backers. And so, everyone that comes across the desk in a PDF looks pretty good, right? I mean, not a lot of businesses that look bad. And we had announced last year our time-aware CX vision, which gave us the ability to rewind history, to have much better situational awareness of the future, and to be able to predict the future. the piece that we were working on is that predicting the future. And it's very, very hard to do. But I think we were making really, really great progress when the node opportunity came across our desk. And so obviously chatting with the executive team, the commentary was, if these guys can actually do everything they say they can do, this would be a wonderful acquisition for us. So, we met with the team and asked lots of hard questions, etc. But then, it came back to, ultimately, if I'm going to buy a crystal ball, the thing that I want to measure more than anything else is how accurate is the crystal ball. And so we internally just, brainstorming, how do we test these guys? Because yes, they've got lots of great case studies. They've got fantastic ROI, which has been delivered at a multitude of different, customers and proof of concepts. But we came up with this what we call the ultimate node challenge. And essentially we gave them our data from 6 months ago and said, tell us what happens. And we obviously know what happens. They had no idea what happens. And they didn't know sugar. And we gave them 24 hours and we gave them 3 use cases. It was all very unfair, I thought. We gave them 3 use cases. One was, what's the likelihood of a lead becoming sales qualified? What's the likelihood of a sales qualified opportunity becoming one? And what's the likelihood of our customers trading from us? So, which customers are going to leave and we could put our arms around them. So we gave them this. They asked a whole lot of questions about the sugar schema. Within 24 hours, they came back with projections, with models, and it gave us the opportunity to sit there with a green pen and start ticking and checking against what actually happened. And the results were, in my mind, nothing short of outstanding. So they had between high 80s and low 90s predictability on all 3 of these use cases. And so we already had a lead scoring predictability engine, which I'm not going to give you how that compared, but it was nowhere near what these guys were doing. So immediately, I sat up and I thought, if we can bring this for the benefit of every single one of our sugar customers, if we can democratize AI, because AI has been the domain of the largest enterprises, big checkbooks, massively complex technical teams. But if we could embed this capability into sugar, this would be amazing. I mean, this would be a groundbreaker. It would literally give our customers an unfair advantage over their competitors. So super, super excited. But getting to the core of what made them so powerful was the fact that they didn't have to rely 100% on our own CRM data, because CRM data in every business, I don't care who you are, is incorrect at a level. And there's different studies that show you percentages. But more importantly, it's very, very incomplete. And so the Dun & Bradstreet study, which said like 90% of the data that would be important for you is actually missing from your CRM data. So what Node brings to the table is this externally curated data set, which they're constantly manipulating and refining and pulling in all sorts of metrics about the customers and about the market and about your business. But even more importantly, bring in things that you would never consider bringing into your CRM, like GDP data or stock market data or inflation data or unemployment data or weather data or, basically anything else, which could have an impact on how accurate you can get with these, with this prediction model. So that's what enabled them to get these ridiculously high levels of predictability. And from our perspective, if we could give our customers that crystal ball, it's going to give them a high definition view of everything to do with their market. And if they can improve dramatically their predictability scores, they're going to, deliver massive increments to shareholder wealth. So, I'm very passionate, as you can tell. Rich can talk more about the technical side of things. I just saw the business side and I thought this could change the game.
And I would see the business side as well as being a consultative advocate and looking for the benefits of the customers. And you make it not only an unfair advantage for those which use your stuff and get this, but you make it also very important, affordable.
Oh. That's not my alarm going off when you said affordable. So what we've actually decided to do, and this goes to the core, the DNA of Sugar is, we care deeply about our customers. And so what we've decided to do is we've stratified the business use cases that we're going to deliver. And there are a number of them we're going to deliver just straight into the core product, no additional licensing. Basically, we're calling it the Sugar loyalty dividend. So our customers that have been loyal to Sugar are going to get this capability just embedded and exposed and surfaced within their core applications. And then there are some, bigger ticket items which are going to take a bit more work to do, which are sort of some of the holy grail items of CX. And we're going to probably package them up. We haven't made the final decision to either package them up on an a la carte basis or package them up as an all-you-can-eat per market, per serve, per sell. So there will be additional licensing for some of those components, but we want to make sure our customers out of the box, those customers that have been loyal to us, just get this huge tailwind of benefit when this goes live in a couple of months' time.
Kudos to you for that approach to democratize AI for everybody. Now over to you, Rich, to give us your perspective on your enthusiasm on that topic.
Sure, and I was enthusiastic a few weeks ago with Thomas, but in fact, I've become more enthusiastic every day as we're working as a team to get all this capability working and discovering that there's even more possibilities than we even saw at the time of acquisition. Look, there's a big difference between what Node offers and what is commonly referred to as AI for business, in that it is truly a platform. It is an entire system that allows the merger of the external data that the Node technology brings in the area of professional information, company information, market information, merges that with our CXP time streaming event data, and automatically builds models, keyword automatically, and second, models, plural, that are simply specified by some goal-seeking parameters that are readily defined. And when I say models, it generates numerous models for a given use case automatically using different algorithms ranging from regression to neural networks and a bunch in between, and then tests each for accuracy, runs each one 30 times with a different mix of data, of training data, to make sure that it's giving optimal performance, but ultimately chooses the best algorithm, the best AI algorithm, to solve a specific problem without human intervention, either by our customers or even our own developers. And then that model is used for the full data set to give an answer, whether it's calculating an ideal customer profile, not only for information, but that information bears on solutions like an opportunity to convert to a close, or even a lead converting to an opportunity, because there's a lot of information about the external market and how you've done against with customers of that type that is germane. So the external information, as Craig noted, is critical to enrich the amount of info that the models can draw on to become more accurate. And the automation in the platform allows the team to spend time on honing the general model capability, but no one is sitting around, building a model for customer X or Y. That is virtually automated. In the future, there'll be an opportunity for customers to build their own models for use cases outside of what is included in the product. But that's sort of a multi-step process. And from the standpoint of inclusion in the product, and as Craig said, the democratization. As CTO, I'm always challenged with doing some thought experiments about, instead of looking back for what you know now, how would you do it, right? How would you do it detached from history, from Siebel on, right? And when you think about it, you would want a system that doesn't require you to interact with the data, doesn't require you to enter data. You essentially want a system that can just give you guidance and insight and information as you need it. And you wouldn't be consumed by the notion of, well, is this Salesforce sales data? Is this service data? Is this marketing data? You would just have access to all of it. And that's by merging the notion of AI capabilities with the CXP system, where we ingest information from marketing automation, SFA, customer service. You can see a very full picture and do AI analytics on the end-to-end, the true end-to-end, Phil Winter end-to-end model is what we're building out, and what that platform plus the CXP platform allows us to do.
Now, still there are two systems. What data is exchanged there? Because they need a node with its data needs Sugar data, or the other way around. So,
if you'd like, I can tell you how it works. Wish I had a whiteboard, but in lieu of a whiteboard, I'll just fly over it at high altitude. So the really important notion is the difference between the raw data, as I cited from the multiple data providers, and the embedded data. So the way the system works is the raw data is heavily processed by a variety of AI algorithms and just pure math algorithms to reduce it down to relative space on 75 dimensions at US. So I'm going to tell you. So each of these areas are, there's a dimension for each type of data. And rather than the data itself being transferred into the modeling software, it's reduced to a multi-dimensional sort of relative and aggregated collection of information points that the models can inhale or use very efficiently without actually having to stare at the data itself. And it provides two values. One is the models, the Sugar system never sees the external data. So information about risk about PII and GDPR, it's arm's length. We don't see any of the actual detailed data, only the sort of mathematical abstraction between 0 and 1 in this relativistic space goes into the system. The other thing is, because it's in that form, it can't be traced back to the data. And so privacy is radically enhanced by doing so, while the range or the number of vectors for the data is extremely high.
You basically answered the route I wanted to get into, because after all, dinosaurs or not, we are Germans over here. And you have probably seen from the questions that there's always an interest in GDPR or the failed privacy shield. So it's always interesting to see which data is moving across what systems. Yeah? And I think that as you did clearly answering this part, there's an incredible possibility to increase trust, especially in Europe, where we don't trust. Yeah? We don't want to, because we are paranoid or whatever we are. So that's what makes me excited, actually.
Yeah, and I'll add, when we were assessing the technology, besides the platform capabilities, all the AI machinery that I talked about, and their experience in solving business class problems, the manner in which they handled the data and abstracted into what is called embeddings or hints into the models was particularly brilliant. And it was an aha moment for me that it worked that way. I had actually, believe it or not, in grad school, built systems that did that abstraction into multidimensional data. So I was like, oh, I have code that did that. But more than that, more than that, the notion of both efficiency in terms of model generation, each time you turn the model, you don't have to go out and produce the data again, and the idea of privacy, because it's abstracted, it was incredibly valuable.
Yeah. By the way, you used the word platform a couple of times now, which to me raises an interesting question. What is a platform? What's your definition?
I'm happy to take the lead here. A platform is a software abstraction layer that allows sharing of information and the construction of solutions without, starting from scratch each time, whether it's an operating system platform or a virtual machine platform. They're all designed to enable a wealth of use cases. And we really have a number of them that are well integrated now. If I was really to step back and go, what is the core platform that Sugar harnesses? It's probably not an answer you would expect, but it's the data. Most importantly is the ability to normalize, timestamp, and share data at very fine-grained values between any and all applications that needs it. People think of platform typically as a software platform, and I agree. And the node technologies is a platform. Sugar SFA has a platform, etc. But what transcends all of that is access to normalized data that's at very fine grain, that allows any application to see across the entire lifespan of engagement with the customer. Again, another Phil Winter thing. You have to be able to see not each segment of your business in interaction. You need to see all of it in a sort of homogenized way. And a data platform that can do that, not only at the moment, but looking back in time and then using AI to project into the future, is the core element of a business platform.
Okay, Craig, you probably have something to add.
No, I'll leave that one. I think Rich has encapsulated our view of a platform very well.
And let me just add that I don't want to give short shrift to the software side as a software guy, but AWS for us is a software platform. It's a set of services that are building blocks that allow us to create really awesome things very quickly. Sugar itself has a powerful platform that allows people to extend the capabilities of Sugar, etc. But if you really step back, the greatest value that we have constructed and are rolling out is the CXP platform and how it enables any application that we vend, that others integrate with Sugar, et cetera, to be incredibly powerful, because it transcends any vertical app like SFA or serve customer service or market. It knows the whole spectrum of a customer journey.
You have a new board member, and he's coming out of the e-commerce area. My friend Thomas observed. I was absolutely not knowledgeable on that area, but Thomas is very smart in finding such interesting connections. How come?
Maybe too smart.
So look, James was instrumental in building a quite great company with Episerver. They were owned by the same people that obviously own Sugar. So I've actually known James for probably 20 years. We worked together at Epicor, and he's one of the smartest cookies going around. And we've stayed in very, very close contact. Prior to Epi, he was involved at Klarna, which got sold to Verint. So he's got an absolute pedigree in terms of the SaaS subscription space, particularly in the CX arena. Don't draw conclusions that it means anything about us and Epi. It just so happens that James does a lot of work advising Excel KKR portfolio companies. I use him as a sounding board and have for many years. And he's really exceptional when it comes to M&A, strategy, direction, and envisaging the future. So so he's a great addition to the team. We were talking on a regular basis before he joined the board anyway. He's an amazing individual, and will be a great asset to Sugar going forward.
Well, I show you my crystal ball, and looking into that, I saw also a side of the private perspective, which is extremely valuable, because I'm a very committed network guy, and I'm very committed to people I know, and I prefer to have people around me I do trust and I know. So
100%.
150% understanding. then it's no harm if you have some good connections to e-commerce guys and knowledgeable people. Then you do not connect to the wrong platforms.
Yeah, and look, we're an acquisitive company. We're looking at lots of different assets. One commitment that I'll give to my customers is we're not going to create a technological Frankenstein like a lot of others have in this space, where they've just bought a disparate, eclectic mix of all sorts of different applications, and then they put the onus on the customer to try and build their own. That's not what Sugar will ever do. All of the acquisitions we've done have been, dovetail into our technology strategy very, very easily and quickly. So reducing, obviously any overhead or burden or administrative nightmare or cost for our customers. So we're taking a different strategy to some of the others in the space.
I would like to quote this: Technology Frankenstein. Ja? Das muss ich mir noch mal zergehen lassen auf der Zunge. I know a 3-letter company which would fit nice and to a bit nasty into that description these days. They had a long, hard run of 18 months of tough work to sort this. Yeah,
right. It's difficult. If you buy assets which have been developed using disparate technologies, different databases, different schemas, different development teams, different development philosophies, and then you bring them all into the one family and you want them to play well together, they typically don't. And so we have a very high bar when we're evaluating technology like Node. It just absolutely dovetailed into our stack. Day one, it was so complementary. Whereas, there were other assets out there that wouldn't have achieved the same thing. So, regardless of price or whatever else, we would not look at those.
I should add that even when you talk about they 3-letter or otherwise, they buy assets and it took them a long time to integrate them. What is the definition of integration in those cases, right? Yeah. They're sometimes sharing some information back and forth through synchronization technology, maybe evidencing some information in the other app, but they're not fundamentally integrated at the full data level. The brilliance of the CXP design is that if we buy an asset, whether it's Sales Fusion that is now Sugar Market, we can direct the data that's going into its database also as timestamped information going into the CXP or event streams, which makes it accessible to all the other applications, notwithstanding visibility layers and access control and all the machinery that's built around it. That's why I said that the data layer is such an important definition of the platform, because if you integrate at the data layer, fundamentally, sharing everything, you can do whatever you want at any point in time subsequently, versus figuring out a wiring harness that you want to connect in certain ways and others. So there's more nuance behind integration than meets the eye, and it's important to cite that.
I take your word there very seriously, as you are two very knowledgeable chaps, and you have make your minds up on which way to go. If it's a blue cloud with some Einstein, or the one or the other Oracle from Delphi, or if it's 3 letters which come from friendly Heidelberg area company, that is, one has a choice. And I believe that the former boss from Thomas came there and had a lot of challenges to sort, which he had also fun with, and they are on a good way. This is what we had as we had our little backstage talk when we said there are some things in progress. And it's very interesting to see that your advantage for your customers is a point to touch, and it's marvelous. And it is something which looks to me very easy accessible. And I'm very serious on that one, that I do have my typical German mid-market concerns on if with other suppliers and their partners, this is as easy accessible and as easy measurable result coming up as if they would compare it with what you have to deliver right now. And this is very good news for your existing customers and your potential customers. And as I know the body language from Tom, I guess he would like to say something on that.
Actually, you got a question. Well, we are here to ask and mutually ask, actually. So, with my hypothesis being proven wrong now, James Morgan. So there still is, at least in my eyes, and that's why I came into the direction, so CRM systems or CX systems support a lot of processes. And where I do see Sugar right now is on sales, with an emphasis on Salesforce automation and whatever enables a Salesforce, service and marketing with different strengths. What I do not yet see is a dedication to e-commerce, and that's where I found this connection interesting. So without probably divulging any secrets, how do you deal with e-commerce and Sugar?
Well, look, we have many customers who are using best-of-breed third-party tools for e-com and doing it incredibly successfully. And in a lot of instances, it's run by different areas within the business. It hasn't been. So if you gave me a shopping list and said, go and buy five additional companies in different spaces, that's not one that would be in my top five. So I mean, because our customers are. It's not a pain point. The customers are very, very successfully using a raft of different applications that are out there, and I mean, the names of them, and doing that very, very successfully. So it's not an area that I would prioritize. But if we had the right asset that came across the table, and once again, it ticked all of those boxes from a technology integration perspective and overhead and admin and cost and all those things that I don't want to burn our customers with, then we take a serious look at it.
Well, no, actually, you opened up another one. But you're right. It's what you're losing to some extent is, or your customers are losing, is the strength that data as a core part of platform gives, because it's outside your platform, right? So, but what you now opened up as an avenue is what would be the top 3 of the top 5?
We're actually very close. We're very close to a couple of them at the moment. So I probably I'll keep those cards close to my chest if that's all right. Hopefully, in a few months we can have a follow-up call and we can talk about what we actually did.
Okay. Would appreciate that.
You bet. Anytime.
Never harms asking. Worst case, you don't get the answer that you want.
Well, yeah, any of these ones that we're looking at could fall over, and if they do, I don't want to get our customers, excited about something which then delays, and we don't want to be forced into buying something that.
Fully appreciated. Fully appreciated. Was just a door that opened.
I opened it, so it's my
opportunity. One with the pokey question fingers has to stick in it when it's coming up along. Yes, it's just too good.
Exactly.
The German saying is Steilvorlage. Yeah, if you kick the ball in the right direction, then you have to kick it again.
Okay.
What about marketing and marketing automation? Coming from the ecosystem, I know that you utilize a very solid and nicely functioning integration of Mautic. I observed that some of the potential clients I was consulting found it's doing their stuff and it's doing what they wanted, but your GUI and your user interface was a lot more sexy. So they were missing that ease of use. And are there areas which I probably in the last 12 months have not properly watched, that there is some news?
Yeah, so we acquired a company called Sales Fusion in the marketing automation space. And so that's become our Sugar Market product. So it was a really, really solid, both standalone, but also quite successfully integrated for a number of our sugar customers. And since we did that, we've really doubled down our efforts in terms of the engineering team and built that up. As Rich mentioned before, in the latest release, a complete ground up new nurture builder and an email builder. So we're spending a lot of time and engineering resource on that. We still have within our base of customers, many customers that are using, Mautic, Marketo, Act-On, a range of other different marketing automation products. We would hope that over time they would evaluate Sugar Market, because to Rich's point, all of that underlying infrastructure, and particularly the time-aware piece and the AI piece, all of these components are better if you're using the full stack. It doesn't obviate the need for them or negate the need for them when you're not using the full stack. But if you're using Sugar Market, which obviously naturally flows into SugarCell, then naturally flows into SugarCRM, you're going to be much better off, because you're going to get the benefit of all of these cross-module platform components, including AI, the predictive piece, and our Discover predictive analytics tools. So we would encourage that, but at the end of the day, to an earlier point, it's all about choice. If customers are happy with what they're using, then we'll make sure that we're a good partner and provide an ease of integration through to those best of breed providers.
But your suggestion is just look into it, how much a little bit more harmony can give you some more extra values.
Yeah, and if you look at it, if CRM was started or CX was starting out today, no one would build it the way that most of these applications have been built. A homogeneous, contiguous stream of customer journey, which in some respects is even circular. You wouldn't be looking at things in a compartmentalized way. And we're really keen to break down those barriers, and we can do that when you're using all of the components of our stack. It's obviously a lot harder if you're plugging in external best of breed components.
Yeah.
Cool.
Mr. Wiebernight, any further questions?
Well, none that I get answered now.
But thank you very much,
offended, Thomas.
Rich, that you gave us some hints on that you are looking very thoughtfully into the fit of the components, and that you made that statement about if we would start on a blank sheet of paper on scratch, how would we do it? Yeah, it's like zero-based budgeting. If you build a new company, you build a new product, and I would like to make it as sexy, as powerful as a brand name which is no longer existing from the good old United States. This is where I recall just that Bob Stutz said there is no product which is so broad, so rich like that, what I did at that time. And he was working for that company as well. And he is still a big fan of what he developed at these days. Yeah. But I take your point as a valid point in the existing now and for the future, that it is a lot easier if one starts from scratch, that he has the ease of success. And if he goes in harmony, this is what you stated, that the integrated product we made fit to to do their job in harmony with each other and look sexy as well. Yeah, that this is even the extra advantage.
Yeah, and if you look back, 20 years ago, with the way that marketing and sales departments interacted, they were very siloed in a lot of businesses, and so it didn't really matter as much in terms of just how blended these applications were. But in today's day and age, I mean, the teams are absolutely dovetailed in together. They've got a common mission. They should be working absolutely hand in hand for the benefit of the customers. And so therefore the applications really, you need to break down the barriers between the different components of the application. And in doing so, you're going to get a far better customer outcome, and our customers will be far better at generating customers for life by being able to do that. So it's important.
20 years ago, this was even more battleground than it is some organizations still today.
Yeah, there are some that are still a little bit misguided, haven't got the program. But as a person providing such a key tool to everyone in the CX space, that we're designing and engineering the tools as if the way they should be built, the way teams should operate, as opposed to encouraging those silos.
I observed that there is one area where we would like probably to take another call, not only a one-on-one as analysts, but also in a setup like that again, where we look into, for instance, the service arena from the field service perspective and the help desk perspective, because we see a lot of movement there. And with your newest release, I guess that you are very open to do an extra value in service for call center driven organizations, which has a lot of in and outbound calls with your stack of technology, what you have available right now.
Yeah, we've always had a strong, it's never been as big as the SFA piece, but we've always had a very, very strong services revenue stream from our customers. So, the last couple of years, we've spent a lot more time really building that out, and it's sort of culminating with the new omni-channel release around Amazon Connect, which we're calling Sugar Live. So we're spending a lot more time and effort. I mean, the beauty of being owned by who we're owned by now, they've got deep pockets, and we can keep writing big checks and getting things done, which is a lot of fun.
Okay, it's the optional 15 minutes over our scheduled time, which I enjoyed a lot of.
Yep.
I'm very grateful that you took yourself the time in joining us. I'm extremely happy that the omens from the internet gave us a crystal clear picture of Rich in the second part of our talk. And I'm very, very happy that we learned so much this evening. So this is right over to Tom to say something for the closing.
Well, a big thank you. So this was, one of the better ones is probably a poor word, but was just amazing. Thanks heaps. And I hope for a continuation, and I hope for some information about the top 3.
I'll give you a hint. You may have mentioned it at one point, one of them. So anyway, hey, look, thank you so much for having us on and giving everyone an update on all the great stuff we're doing here at Sugar. We're happy to jump on anytime and either do a personal briefing or a follow-up session.
And my thanks as well. Really appreciate the time. Great spending time with you. Happy to do it anytime in the future.
I enjoyed it very much, which is for me really important, because we do this as some expert talk in a friendly chatter mode and with not too much seriousness in the little words, but with a sense of humor and with the twinkle of the eye that we know some more stuff, but it's not yet the time to talk about. And I appreciate very much that you jumped in and gave us a real fantastic 1.25 hour of entertaining, informative, and cool news, and some viewpoints from your point of view. And I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it really.
Thanks, Jen.
Thanks.
Very, very much.
Bye.
Meine sehr verehrten Damen und Herren, das war der 18. CRM-Konvos. Bleiben Sie uns gewogen. Schauen Sie auch nächsten Dienstag wieder rein, wenn wir wieder Top-Gäste für Sie da haben. Ein großes Dankeschön an Rich Green und Craig Charlton, dass Sie heute unsere Gäste waren. Thanks again and kudos that you were with us for the last 1.25 hour. And now I say friendly goodbye till next Tuesday and see you soon.
Thanks very much. Bye-bye.